Hello, my name is herbaria, and I'm a senior undergraduate student at Chatham University working with Dr. Molly Ng at the Carnegie Museum of Natural History on our ongoing research looking at ferns and climate change. One way this is studied is through the use of herbarium specimens, which are plants that have been collected, pressed, mounted, and stored for future use. Specimens collected over the decades can provide insight into how plants have been responding to climate change. Dr. Ng is specifically looking at stomata on fern specimens to see how their morphology varies across time in response to atmospheric CO2 concentrations. I helped investigate this question by measuring the aperture length of stomata from images taken of fern specimens leaves under the microscope from the University of Michigan's herbarium. The aperture is the opening between the stomata's guard cells that regulates the exchange of water vapor and CO2 between plants and the atmosphere. Using image J, I measured the aperture of each stomata, as you can see in the bottom right corner. Across these 4 species, I measured over 1,000 stomata from specimens spanning a time frame of 150 years. This contributed to a larger data set that Dr. Ng has been compiling, looking at stomatal size, density, and index. Here are some preliminary results from the aperture measurements I collected compared to the CO2 concentrations each fern experienced based on the data was collected. You can see slight variations between species, and except for Woodwardica virginica, there seems to be a slight increase in average length of aperture in higher CO2 concentrations. Here are additional figures looking at CO2 concentrations compared to the stomata size at the top, stomatal density on the left, and stomatal index on the right. As you can see, there are slight variations between species and trends across the data combined. Some key takeaways from this research is that there are some potential differences in stomata morphology between species that varies along CO2 concentrations, potentially alluding to some of these species responding differently to climatic conditions. This is important to understand as climate change progresses and will continue to influence these species in the future. We will continue to expand on this research by looking at stomatal conductance using our measurements and looking at how geography plays a role in this relationship. So I want to thank Dr. Molly for all her guidance and everyone else who has contributed to this project. I'd also like to thank the Carnegie Museum of Natural History section of botany. And there's my contact information and my citations. Thank you so much.